want to say, Andy, you said the iconography was too much. It's literally pictures of animals. A
That's too much for me.
A red predator. It's like...
We're going to talk about a little bit of a... In this segment, we're going to talk about a little game called Ark Nova. You might have heard of it. You might have heard of it a little bit, unless you've been living under a rock or something.
We had a commercial
probably
for it
heard of this
last
game.
Is this the one with God's Judgment?
Yeah.
No, that's
the phase
Ark
2
Nova.
of the flood.
Oh.
That's
Fertility
Ark Nova.
and the death penalty.
That was
Correct. Also as well.
This has those same features, but a little different twist on it. But no, Ark Nova, for those of you who may not know much about it, it's a fairly long game. It's a lot in the vein of Terraforming Mars. People have called it the Terraforming Mars killer because now it's the hotness. And I mean, you can't compare with that. But it's card driven like Terraforming Mars, but instead of literally terraforming Mars, you are producing a zoo. And you get your own board with the landscape to place your zoo on. You have to place enclosures for your animals. You have to get animal cards. You have to pay to put the animals into the enclosures. And they all come with bonuses. And it's kind of cool. There's 2 different tracks that go around the board. One of them is ticket sales, because the better and bigger and cooler the animals are, the more tickets they're going to sell and the more income you're going to get. And then on the other side, the other goal of zoos is conservation. So there's a conservation track, which as you go up on the conservation track, it gets stronger and stronger. And the spaces become bigger and it's easier and quicker to move. So basically the game ends like Rajas of the Ganges style when these 2 tracks pass each other. So that your idea is you want to pass those 2 tracks, your tickets and your conservation. So you want to have not a balance of the 2, but you want to have them meet at some point in the game. And whoever gets the furthest past, that triggers the end of the game. Everybody else gets a turn. And whoever gets the furthest past where there's meat wins the game, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. I hope I explained that well enough.
Where
Makes a
there's
lot of
meat.
sense.
It's very card driven. There's a long tableau of cards in a market that you can take from, and you get to take 4 cards out of 8 that you're dealt at the beginning, and boom, you're on your way. We've all played it. We've all played it recently, and we're all going to give our review of it somewhat. And Chris, I believe you are first.
Why, thank you. So
You already got a timer.
immediately got the line. Fantastic.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate
it. So yeah, okay, like you said, correct. Everyone's kind of comparing it to Terraform Mars, and there's a lot of good reasons for that. I gotta admit, I kind of get the same feeling. All those feels, it really is the same, but the defining difference for me is how you acquire the cards and the payoff of the cards. So yes, mechanics and all this stuff and the mental gymnastics we do in games are very important. That's part of the reason I play the games, but that fun factor is still a thing, right? And so part of fun is gratification. So with Terraforming Mars, you draft the cards and it's more, you can kind of build something a little easier because of it, which is then gratifying. Now, I'm also not saying I like games that are easy because that's easy gratification. That's quite the opposite, as we know. But there is something to be said for that alone. Then with the cards in Terraforming Mars, when you play them and you get your little combo thing going off, it yields real results. While with Ark Nova, it's so hard to get the cards because you get the little tableau that John was talking about, and you're just kind of limited to what comes out. And if it comes out in a bad order, you're just kind of sunk. But with the drafting, the way it works, it's a little easier to make sure that you get what you're trying to work for, and you're never kind of stopped. And then even also with Ark Nova, it's cool, I worked on this combo type of thing for 30, 40 minutes in real life, and I did all the things, and I get 2 points. And it's the gratification is just not there. So I played it. It was fine. But again, already got Terraform Mars, would just rather go back to it. Feels like more replayability. It's the one for me. What you got, Andy?
Well, Chris, I actually agree with a lot of what you had to say there. I will say there was one difference, though, that I disagree with. There is a out in the main area, there's 6 cards I believe you can draw from, and there's the pile. There are ways to go through that pile and draw random cards to get to cards. So it's not impossible to get through the deck. In fact, we got through a pretty good chunk of cards when I played my first and only game so far. I will say my biggest problem with it, honestly, is that, like you, I do think it has some similarities to Terraforming Mars. And here's one I don't like. I don't want to learn all the new iconography again. I mean, I've played so many games where you have to have this unique iconography. Terraforming Mars, Race for the Galaxy come to mind. And here's another one, Ark Nova, where it's like, my brain's hurting and I'm confused and I'm old and I'm losing my mind. And maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just getting old, but it was fine. It was good. There were some problems with it though. The biggest problem for me, honestly, is it was too long. I think it lasted longer than Terraforming Mars, at least at the 4 players I played it at, which Terraforming Mars at 5 players can really drag, and it's pretty, just... it just doesn't play well. And so that's kind of how I felt about Ark Nova on my first play. Now, I will say that when we played, 2 of us had never played before. One person had only played one other time. So there was that. There's a bit of a learning curve there. Other things that I thought about the game. Here's a funny one. So Terraforming Mars, well known for having bad art, right? Well, it's because they mixed clip art or stock photos on their cards with original artwork that they did. And most people I talk to agree that the original artwork is actually not bad. It's the stock photos that are a little bit rough. Well, in Ark Nova, they chose to go the stock photo route for everything. So I'm glad they had consistency, but they chose the wrong one. The stock photos are kind of cheesy. So there you go. That's me. Okay. Daniel, you.
Yeah, so one of my favorite parts of Ark Nova is how you choose your action. I think it's a really cool idea that you have these 5 cards that are laid out over a time frame, and every time you do the action, you move it to the end. It feels like you're paying a cost to do this action, but the cost is just time in the game, and I think that's a really unique mechanic. Now, I know Civilization: A New Dawn, apparently Ark Nova got that mechanic from there, but it still feels really fresh and really exciting. I love this idea of fulfilling an action without technically paying the resources, and that's what it feels like you're doing. But anyways, I kind of jumped right into it, but I actually really enjoyed this game. I don't think it quite lived up to the hype that, let's all admit it was Tom Vassallo who hyped it up so much. I don't feel like it was like the greatest game, but I do really like it's a very solid game. And in a year where I'm trying to play my entire collection, I've already played it 5 or 6 times, and it's a 3-hour game. So I do really enjoy it. I love the sense of accomplishment in the game. When you're done, even if you've played a poor game, you have a zoo that is filled with enclosures, filled with animals. You get to look over to the side and see all the entertaining things that you have inside your zoo. And I think it's a really fulfilling and satisfying end game in that regard. I do feel like the end game is also super challenging because of that crossing mechanic that was first by me noticed was in Rajas of the Ganges. That one put some really interesting tension at the end. And when you kind of gives you that, when do you want to finally strike, essentially, because you don't want to cross just a little bit, you want to be able to cross a lot. So I do also like that end game tension. So it's a good game. Really enjoy it. What about you, John?
Well, I think the perfect game of this type has yet to be made, because I think while I prefer it to Terraforming Mars, first of all, let me say that. And a big reason is because of those action selection cards that you speak of. Because you get, I'm the only one who gets booed, because you get 5 action selection cards. So those are the 5 actions you can do on your turn. Well, you can do one of them. And what was really awesome about it was the first game I played, the action I really wanted to do was already taken by somebody, and it was to make an association with a country, and only one person could do it that whole round. So it's like, okay, I really want to do that, to do this and this, but you also can look at your actions get more powerful the higher up they get. So really by default, it's like, well, if I don't have anything better to do, if I'm biding some time, I can get a powerful action on whatever's on number 5. And that's my most powerful action right now. So it kind of gives you a focus. It's like, well, I can do that. Well, if I do that, then I can do A, B. And so it kind of helps you, keep you got kind of fluid targets you can try to hit. Because it's like, whatever I wanted to do, I'm gonna have to wait till next round now because somebody took that option. So I like that. I like how it focuses you with those. And I like how you can upgrade those. And I like how you can only upgrade 4 of them at the most throughout the whole game. So you have to decide which ones you're going to upgrade. And when you're like, well, to do this, I have to upgrade that. But it's like, well, if I upgrade that, that means I'm never upgrading this. Do I really want to do that? So I really like those choices. And that, I think that makes it superior to Terraforming Mars. What hurts it, in my opinion, is the whole crossing path thing. To me, that is not satisfying for an end of a game. I just really don't think it is. I would rather there was something else that triggered end game, and then otherwise it's, well, I know I'm in third place. It's like, is there really any, it's getting towards the end of the game. Is there really anything I can do? Because he's going to cross in 2 turns. I'm going to get close, and that's it. You already know you're not going to win. So to me, that's where Terraforming Mars has the advantage, is the end game scoring and such like that you can be piling up some end game points nobody knows about. And I think I ended in perfect timing. That's all I've got to say.
Perfect.
Yeah.
You didn't go over at all.
So the gong, I think, means that game is over. Any final thoughts, gentlemen? Final thoughts there?
Well, my final thought is that John had the buzzer and the gong cross paths.
Yes,
he did. They cross paths.
So he wins, yes.
That means I win.
Exactly.
Excellent.
Now, I just wanted to know if this game was shorter. You said it was shorter than Terraforming Mars, or longer than Terraforming Mars. Was it shorter than your 6-hour game of Underwater Cities, though?
Wow.
Just
no
saying.
comment. No comment.
Sounds personal.
I want to say my last game of it was,
I feel like he's personally attacking me.
So I do want to say this about the art, because I felt like this has been brought up a couple of times, that the clip art. Normally I would prefer like hand-drawn art, like almost any day of the week, but the clip art for these animals, I feel like it really works. Like I never looked at it and thought it looked ugly, because like the clip art, it's animals. It's like these really pretty pictures of these, animals. I don't see
what else are you gonna
I don't
use.
feel like that's a valid art argument for this game, in my opinion.
So I guess I agree with the animals. The animals are fine, and which are a majority of the cards, but there are a lot of other cards that have like scientists and stuff, and it's just the stereotypical random guy in a lab coat, and it's just whatever.
Yeah. All right.
I will say that we played with 4 players last time, and 2 had never played it before. And with the teach, it was 3 hours on the dot. So it
Who's
can
your
be played
teacher?
a little quicker. That was Daniel Canas.
I'm getting pretty good at teaching that game. It's a pretty hefty one.
Yes,
But
I knew you would do better than me. That's why I was like, let Daniel teach it. I'm not good.
Well, I would say it's a strength to the game too, because once it plays so logically, I think. And with those 5 action cards, all you have to do is explain those 5. It's a really easy teach, because you just go one at a time explaining those, and then how those like evolve or flip, and then you've explained the whole game. I think it naturally has a really good explanation built into it. So
I'd say it's probably an easier teach than Terraforming Mars, don't you think?
I think it is. Yeah, I think so. And I know what I want to say. Andy, you said the iconography was too much. It's literally pictures of animals. A
That's
green
too
monkey,
much for me.
a red predator. It's like, I don't know what these mean.
Green monkey? We're not playing. This isn't Temple of the Lost Hidden Doom, whatever. Remember that Nickelodeon show? What was it?
Legends of the Hidden Temple.
That's it. Olmec, tell them what they've won. Anyway.
All right. Well, that was a
let's
great
move on to the next segment.
Let us know
Thank
what
you.
you guys think of Ark Nova down in the comments. Is it a game that has lived up to the hype for you, or did it just fall short of its glory?
And
Like what you've seen, you'd like to see the entire episode, click on the link in the comments below.